When you become like I'd say a man, a black man in particular, with a lot of, I guess, influence, money. I wouldn't say power because, black men, especially in this society, they don't really have any power like that. Because power, you can have power when you don't really have much wealth. Look at the situation with Bill Cosby. But I would say if you're a man with wealth or money or influence, so no matter how famous you are, you gotta basically be on your P's and Q's because you are like basically the the sought after person. You're like a big tree in the middle of the woods. You can easily cut down smaller trees, but the big tree is what it is. It make the hardest thump. Like they say, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Case in point, this man you see on the screen, you all know, especially throughout the '90s when you watch the football game, like the NFL and the Dallas Cowboys. That's when Dallas Cowboys was on its game at that time. Dallas Cowboys was hot back then. But this guy, Michael Irvin, that's on the screen, is a victim of the big tree that's in the woods. The biggest, I guess, one of the successful person. He's also a commentary. 3 times Super Bowl champion. Was accused of, they say, sexual harassment, and he made lewd remarks, and basically he was being lied to, and saying that he actually tried to threaten her, this woman who he had a conversation with in the lobby, and they had cameras that view because she probably didn't knew that there were cameras, but if you were to look at the camera, he just having a conversation with her, and she literally shook his hands because if anybody made any kind of lewd remark, just say it in generally. If people would feel uncomfortable talking to a certain person, they'll step back to, or they would probably walk away, or they'll just look like, maybe just they have that kind of look of, they want to get out of that situation. Basically, she'll back away. She literally was stalking because they actually showed the camera. She was actually stalking Michael Irvin, and when she found Michael Irvin, just had a conversation with him. She was all in there on him, just talking, and she's supposed to be at work, but she took her happy self over to Michael Irvin's where he was at to talk with him. And Michael Irvin might be see her as a fan or somebody who's maybe I guess celebrity struck, and he been nice enough to talk to her and conversate with her, and she shook her hand, and that's in it. He just walked off and mind her business. She, this woman, lied on Michael Irvin. She lied on him, saying that he he basically sexually harassed her and tried to threaten her, basically saying all kind of lewd remarks about what he gonna do to her and everything. And the cameras clearly showed that she wasn't even threatening. I mean, of course, they can't hear the conversation, but she said she was uncomfortable and everything. But they camera clearly saw her stalking him and talking to him. So she's trying to, I guess she's looking for money or anything. And you know what? It's women like that make it harder for women who actually is experiencing, I guess, uh, harassment and threaten. It's women like that, somebody who's money hungry, that that actually want to seek out the people like Michael Irvin or any kind of celebrity. That's one thing I remember when I was a kid, I was to say to myself, I want to be a professional athlete or a rapper, or I had that thought when I was a little kid, and it must be cool to be a celebrity. I don't think so because being a celebrity takes a lot of work. You got to work on covering your trait. Got to work on looking at people looking at people who sort after you to lie on you. Yeah, that kind of reminds me of Chris Brown. Cause so many people try to get at Chris Brown until Chris Brown just damn near gone plump fool. But somebody like Michael Irvin is very influential when it comes to like sports related. Very successful. And all it took is that lie. And I actually saw Michael Irvin in court crying. He was crying like you could just see the tears coming down his eyes and him barely able to talk. And what he said hit homes. He said if it wasn't for that camera, nobody would believe what he said. Nobody. And I agree. He say, thank God for that cameras. You just gotta imagine. Back then, they used to have like a lot of white women that lie on black men and cause black men to get lynched or in prison, like they did back in Jim Crow. And stuff, white women, they are very dangerous. I'm not saying that as in, as a recent time. Of course, they still are to a degree. But I talk about back then, they were real dangerous. That was like that's very lethal. Tell a lie, boom, black man gets strung up and killed. Well, she about to cost this man a fortune, cost him to lose everything, possibly cost him to go to jail. And the camera actually show all of that. And now Michael Irvin is filing I guess he's gonna countersue. He's going to file. He countersuing either her or either everything, and Marriott Hotel, because he was actually banned from Marriott Hotel. So he looking to countersue for defamation of character. And you can just look at his face and tell he was innocent. And I felt so bad for him because I remember Michael Irvin. I was a kid. Of course, I wasn't a Cowboy fan. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I admired him playing. He was a wide receiver, and he was a pretty darn good one. And to see him broke down that way, and after all the hard work he done, just to get his image tarnished by this woman who basically want to, I guess, get a lick off of him, that make me sick. That make me sick to my stomach. And people like that, I can't stand. I can't stand. I can't stand people like that. You bearing false witness, as the Bible said, to another person, and you try to get him, I guess, trying to ruin him. And I'm glad that he was basically found innocent of anything because the camera showed proof of everything. And like he say, if it wasn't for the camera, he's doomed. And what they should do is bring her up on charges. Because any woman that lie about certain things, situations like that, they should be brought up on charges. Because as a man, as a man, it's usually their words against yours, especially when it comes to, you know, Caucasian women. It's their words against yours. So you got to be on your P's and Q's. You got to watch your back with them, especially in particular if you're a celebrity or somebody, a high influential person and very successful.